From 1934 to 1980, a true legend raced across our airways. Year after year, this amazing pilot set records around the world. This talented aviator, who has served as an inspiration for countless generations, was also a woman, America's original fly girl.
Jacqueline Cochran is often remembered as an amazing pilot, but her achievements go beyond setting speed and altitude records. Jackie and others like her changed the lives of women across America. Jacqueline Cochran was born as Bessie Lee Pittman, starting life in a poor sawmill town in North Florida. Though various stories of her life have appeared, everyone acknowledges that Jackie, who didn't have her first pair of shoes until she was 8, created a new life for herself and achieved the American dream. She went from a poor kid to a well-to-do woman by working as a beautician. Then, at a party in 1932, Jackie met millionaire Floyd Odlum. Jackie confided her dreams to Floyd, telling him that one day she hoped to start her own cosmetics company. As the story goes, he told her she would need wings in order to cover enough territory to make her company prosper. His comment gave Jackie the idea of personally flying her products to the customers, and she spent the summer of 1932 taking flying lessons at Roosevelt Airfield on Long Island. Amused by her decision to get her license, Floyd bet her $495, the cost of the lessons, that she couldn't learn the skill and gain her license in 6 weeks. The always competitive Jackie took the bet, telling him she'd do it in 3, because she didn't want to waste her entire vacation on Long Island. It was during this time period that Jackie discovered her passion was not in the beauty industry, but in controlling a plane as it raced among the clouds. Jackie later wrote of the experience saying, "A beauty operator ceased to exist, and an aviator was born." Jackie's love of flying was instantaneous. Within 3 days she was flying solo, and it was only 2.5 weeks later when she received her pilot's license. Needless to say, she won the bet. Only 2 years after getting her license, she signed on for her first race, the McRobertson race, which covered 12,000 miles from London to Melbourne. Unfortunately, her plane had wing problems and she had to abandon the race. Never one to give up, Jackie spent the next year launching her cosmetics company, then set her sights on another race, the Bendix Transcontinental Race. In 1935, Jackie became the first woman to enter the race, but again she was forced to drop out due to mechanical problems. Jackie turned her attention once again to her personal life, marrying longtime friend Floyd Odlum in 1936. It was after the wedding that Jackie proved the old saying, "The third time is the charm," worked for her. In 1937, Cochran entered and won the women's division of the Bendix race, placing 3rd overall. That same year, she went on to break the national airspeed record, flying from New York to Miami in only 4 hours, 12 minutes, and 27 seconds. She also set a new women's national speed record at just over 203 miles per hour, and received the Clifford Harmon Trophy for the most outstanding woman pilot of the year. By the end of her career, she would receive a total of 15 Harmon trophies. In 1938, Jackie won the Bendix race again, but this time, she beat every other pilot, even the men. It was also in 1938 that Jackie received the William Mitchell Memorial Award, an award that is given to the person who makes the most outstanding contribution to aviation during a given year. In 1939, Cochran approached General Hap Arnold with a plan to use women as military support, suggesting they transport aircraft from the factory to the field in order to free men for combat. The general rejected the plan. After reconsidering his decision, the general approached Jackie in 1942, asking her to organize a group of women pilots to support the war effort. Jackie agreed and launched the Women's Flying Training Detachment, which led to her appointment to lead the famous Women's Air Force Service Pilot Program, the WASPs. Although Jackie's dream of seeing the women flying for the military had been achieved, it was a bittersweet victory. The female pilots were subjected to discrimination and prejudice, even by the military itself. The Army Corps put the requirements for women entering training at a much higher level than for men who entered training. The male cadet needed only one requirement, 250 hours of flying time. Women were required to have 500 hours of flight time, a commercial rating, and a 200 horsepower rating. In addition, the WASPs were required to have more than twice the qualifications as men to finally earn their wings.
We realize there's danger in anything that you attempt, but there was that camaraderie about the love of flying that drew us together.
Despite the obstacles they faced, the WASP program grew. The female pilots took pride in having better flying records than their male counterparts. Their efforts taught the country that women did indeed belong in the pilot seat. Despite this, the WASP continued to have no official military status. Information later released actually showed that 38 WASPs had been killed during this time, not from accidents or other war-related incidents, but from sabotage.
Well, it was a rare group at a rare time that had something to offer, and offered it, even if it meant they were offering their lives.
From 1942 to 1944, when the 1,000 women were recruited into the WASP program, trained to ferry aircraft, to test planes, instruct male pilots, and were even towing target for anti-aircraft artillery practice. These women, known as fly girls, came from all walks of life and represented an array of cultures one has to see to believe. They were teachers, nurses, secretaries, factory workers, waitresses, students, housewives, debutantes, actresses, even the Ziegfeld chorus girl. The bond that united them all was the same feeling of exhilaration they had when their plane lifted off the ground and they became airborne, the passion for flying that led Jackie Cochran to create the program in the beginning. In an interview, WASP Caro Bailey Bosca said, "We thought we'd died and gone to heaven. We would have done it for free. It was hot, we were tired, we were sticky half the time, we were having a ball, because we had those airplanes and we all loved to fly." But in December 1944, Congress disbanded the WASP because male pilots were complaining that the women were taking their jobs. During their short time in the skies, the WASP delivered approximately 12,650 planes and flew more than 60 million miles. In 1945, Jacqueline Cochran received the U.S. Distinguished Service Medal before traveling to the Far East and becoming the first woman to enter Japan after World War II. Her war service over, Jackie once again turned her eyes to the sky and challenged herself to reach for the stars. In 1950, she set a new international speed record for propeller-driven aircraft by flying a P-51 at over 447 miles per hour. In 1952, she was the first woman to break the sound barrier, or Mach 1. During the 1960s, Jackie was a test pilot for Northrop and Lockheed. In 1961, she created a string of 8 major speed records in a Northrop T-38. Then, in 1964, she set 3 new speed records in a Lockheed 104 jet starfighter. On one of her runs, she flew more than 1,429 miles per hour, the fastest a woman has ever flown. Jackie also spent the 60s becoming associated with another famous group of women, the Mercury 13, a secret test group of women astronauts. Jackie lobbied repeatedly for the right of women to go into space along with men. There were many obstacles, though, the foremost being that men still thought women belonged in gentler professions. Jackie and her husband funded a program run by Dr. William Randolph Lovelace, who took a group of 20 women and subjected them to the same test male astronauts were given to see if they were capable of meeting the requirements. 13 of the women passed, proving they were just as fit for space as men, but the tests amounted to very little, since public opinion remained strongly against allowing women in space. Even though NASA knew in 1963 that women could meet all the requirements, it wasn't until 1983 that Sally Ride proved what Jackie Cochran had known all along, by finally becoming the first American woman in space. In 1965, Jacqueline Cochran was invested in the International Aerospace Hall of Fame. It wasn't long after that Jackie was forced to slow down due to a heart condition. In 1971, she was inducted into the National Aviation Hall of Fame. She went on to receive many other awards during this time period. It seemed as if the world were finally catching up to Jackie. Sadly, in August of 1980, before that famous flight of Sally Ride, Jacqueline Cochran passed away. During her aviation career, Jackie received more than 200 awards and trophies. She set more speed and altitude records than any other pilot, male or female. Her achievements and dedication opened doors for many women that they had never even dared to dream of.
Jackie's legacy can be seen every day in the jobs women across America do. She flew in the face of adversity. When someone told her she couldn't do something because she was a girl, she not only proved she could, but went out of her way to do it better, faster, and higher than the men. She taught women to stand up for themselves, inspiring them not only to look to the skies, to reach for the stars.
I'm very happy that we trained 1,000 women to fly the Army one. I think it is going to mean more to aviation than anyone realizes.